Imagine this. You're standing on the edge of a cliff, facing an abyss so deep you can't see the bottom. The wind blows, and your heart begins to race as the rocks beneath you tremble slightly under your weight. You can almost feel yourself falling into the endless darkness, yet you remain still. It's not because the abyss is terrifying. It's because you're terrified of the stillness, terrified of suddenly realizing you don't dare to jump, you don't dare to let go. You might start to wonder it's not just because the abyss is scary, but because you've never really tried to cross it. You've told yourself that jumping into this darkness is too dangerous. Yet, deep down, you begin to question. Are you afraid of the abyss? Or are you afraid of facing your true desires? Afraid of confronting that instability you've always known, but never admitted? You look back, and the stable life you built feels like a prison surrounding you on all sides. Every choice you make is one where you carefully avoid conflict, avoid breaking the status quo. You try to gain stability through endless adaptation and compromise, but this stability doesn't bring freedom, it traps you, locking away your dreams and hopes in the process. You live more and more like a confined soul, knowing you're not happy, but never quite finding the way out. Doesn't that mean you're destined to never experience true freedom? You might ask yourself, the world around you feels more and more limited, and the pace of life has become increasingly mechanical. Countless people, just like you, rush through their days, but they, too, feel empty and lost, you seemingly having it all. Have you realized that deep inside, there's still no real peace? On social media, you see others living exciting lives, constantly showing off their happiness, but deep down, you know this doesn't bring you any true calm. You've dreamed of freedom, once longed for breakthroughs, but what you're most afraid of isn't failure, it's becoming someone entirely different. You're afraid to face the abyss within, afraid to confront that void that may never be filled. You won't admit it, but you're the one who refuses to jump into the abyss. And once you do, you'll realize that you've been trapped in invisible chains, unable to move forward. Now, let me ask you, are you also struggling in this whirlpool of anxiety and powerlessness? Like most people, are you constantly reassuring yourself, telling yourself, everything will be okay if I just hang in there a little longer, but deep down, you know these reassurances are mere temporary anesthetics, allowing you to forget the abyss's existence for a while, yet never eliminating the unease inside. Have you realized that this repressed life is not the true freedom you once longed for, and that your daily fear, hesitation, has been subtly controlling your life all along? So, are you ready to face it all and change it? To truly understand the weight of what you're avoiding, let's delve deeper. What you're dealing with isn't just an external fear or an irrational hesitation. It's something far more profound and deeply ingrained, something embedded in your very psyche, lurking beneath the surface of your daily consciousness. What if I told you that the very thing holding you back, the anxiety, the fear, the endless hesitation, is not an anomaly, but a reflection of something far more ancient and human? It's not just your fear, it's a fear that has shaped human existence for centuries. The philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche saw this clearly. He understood that the essence of human suffering and the root of our fear lie in our inability to fully embrace life in its fullness, with all its chaos, unpredictability, and hardship. We are afraid to confront the truth of our existence, which Nietzsche called the eternal recurrence. The idea that everything, every pain, every joy, every moment repeats eternally. We live in fear that the chaos of life will overwhelm us, and so we retreat into a comfort zone where everything feels manageable and controllable. But this retreat is the very thing that imprisons us, the comfort zone you so desperately cling to. It's a prison of your own making. Nietzsche would call this the herd mentality, where you conform to the expectations of society, of others, to avoid conflict, to avoid the suffering of being truly yourself. In doing so, you deny the deepest parts of yourself, your potential, your passion, your will to power. And here's the paradox. In avoiding the abyss, in avoiding your darkest fears, you avoid your truest self. You see, the truth is we are all addicted to this safety, this predictability. It is what keeps us from growing. It is what traps us in an endless loop of self-delusion. This addiction is what keeps us from realizing the greatness that resides within us. You tell yourself that you're waiting for the right moment to take a leap, to break free, but that moment never comes because your fear keeps you in a perpetual state of waiting, stuck between your current reality and your imagined one. The truth is, there is no right moment. There is only the moment you choose to confront. This fear isn't just psychological, it's physiological. Your brain is wired to avoid pain, to preserve your sense of safety. But the thing is, growth only happens in discomfort. It is the tension between who you are and who you could be that creates the opportunity for transformation. Every moment you hold back from facing the abyss is a moment you deny yourself the possibility of becoming who you were meant to be. But let me ask you, how long are you willing to continue avoiding that truth? How long will you let your fear dictate your life? What will it take for you to recognize that the fear you're running from is the very force that holds you back from living authentically, from living without hesitation, from living without fear? And here's the thing, what if I told you that this fear isn't something to avoid, but something to embrace? What if the abyss you fear is actually the very gateway to your liberation? Would you be willing to cross it then? Nietzsche once said, "Become who you are." It's one of the simplest yet most profound pieces of wisdom ever offered. It means stop hiding behind the masks you've created, the ones that fit so neatly into the expectations of the world. Stop living for the approval of others. Stop allowing fear to rule your life. But here's the catch. To become who you are, you have to stop avoiding what you fear. Stop running away from the darkness inside you. It's time to confront the uncomfortable truth. The real problem isn't the world around you or the situations you face. The problem is that you've allowed yourself to become complacent in your own fear. You've given that fear too much power over you. So the ultimate question remains. Are you ready to step into the unknown, to take that leap, to live a life truly of your own making? Or will you remain trapped in the comfortable lie, perpetually on the edge of the abyss, too afraid to jump? ChatGPT. Let's take a moment and look more closely at what happens if you continue to stay where you are, stuck in this cycle of hesitation, fear, and false security. The consequences, though hidden beneath the surface, are more insidious than you may realize. They are shaping your life in ways you've become numb to. The fear you're unwilling to confront doesn't just stay where it is. It seeps into your thoughts, your choices, and ultimately, your destiny, your life, without you even realizing it, becomes a series of missed opportunities, a series of unfulfilled potential. Every time you choose comfort over challenge, every time you back away from something that scares you, you're not just avoiding temporary discomfort, you're reinforcing a pattern, a belief that you are not capable of handling life's messiness, its unpredictability, its chaos. This isn't just a passive choice. It's a dangerous form of self-sabotage. Nietzsche understood this well. He called this the slave morality, a mindset that values safety and comfort above self-empowerment and growth. When you give in to the temptation of avoiding discomfort, you become a slave to your own insecurities, to the societal pressures that dictate what success looks like. The irony is that in trying to protect yourself from hardship, you end up living a life that's devoid of meaning, devoid of depth, devoid of true freedom. And the longer you stay in this place, the more these decisions will compound. The small things you think you can ignore, the unspoken words in your relationships, the risks you avoid at work, the passions you bury for fear of failure become the silent killers of your dreams. They erode your sense of self-worth, making you more susceptible to doubt, to self-criticism, to a life that feels insignificant. Over time, these small decisions create a life that feels hollow. You might find yourself waking up one day, looking at the years gone by and realizing that the version of yourself you had dreamed of, the one full of vitality, adventure, and purpose, has slipped away, lost in the comfortable lies you told yourself. You can see this happening in people around you as well. You've witnessed it in those who've grown old without ever truly having lived. People who lived by the rules, who never dared to venture beyond what was safe, only to realize too late that they've never tasted the richness of life. Their existence becomes about surviving, not living, and survival, as Nietzsche would argue, is not the same as thriving. It's not the same as becoming who you are. The worst part is, many of them don't even realize it until it's too late. They look back at their life, full of regrets, wishing they had made different choices, wishing they had taken risks, wishing they had dared to step into the abyss. But by then, the abyss feels even more insurmountable, and the possibility of change seems impossible. This is the tragic reality of those who never take that first step toward facing their fear, their shadow. They live their whole lives on the sidelines, watching as others experience the depth and breadth of existence. Oh, while thinking, that's not for me. But here's the thing, you don't have to be one of them. You don't have to fall into the trap of complacency, of slowly withering away as you let your life pass you by. The good news is you can still change. You can still choose to step into the abyss and embrace the unknown. It's never too late, but it requires one thing: courage. Courage, however, is not the absence of fear. Courage is the ability to act in spite of fear, to stand in the face of uncertainty and say, "I will take the leap anyway." Nietzsche, in his philosophy, never suggested that fear was something to eliminate. Instead, he argued that it is through embracing our fear that we find our truest selves. It's only by confronting the darkness within that we can truly become who we are meant to be. The abyss is not your enemy. It's your gateway to transformation. The question, then, is not whether you can overcome your fear, it's whether you are ready to stop hiding from it. Are you prepared to abandon the comfortable prison you've built around yourself? Are you ready to face the discomfort, the uncertainty, the chaos, and see that on the other side lies a life you could never have imagined? Now you might be thinking, but what if I fail? What if it's too late? These are the same questions that have held you back for so long. But you already know the answer, don't you? The only failure is in never trying. The only true defeat is the defeat of not having lived fully, of never having allowed yourself to taste the sweetness of life in all its rawness and beauty. So let me ask you again, will you choose to step into the unknown? Will you allow yourself to face the abyss and discover the strength that lies hidden within you? Or will you continue to live in the shadow of your own fear, a life that could have been so much more? The choice is yours. But let's be clear, stepping into the unknown is not a one-time event. It's a continuous process, a decision you'll have to make again and again. Every single day you wake up, you will face a new abyss, a new fear to confront. And here lies the secret Nietzsche uncovered that few dare to acknowledge. Life itself is an eternal struggle, a constant tension between who we are and who we have the potential to become. The key to truly living lies in the daily act of stepping beyond what is familiar and into what terrifies us. This doesn't mean you have to take giant leaps all at once. Not every day requires a monumental breakthrough, but every day does require a choice to act despite the fear, despite the uncertainty. Maybe starting that difficult conversation you've been avoiding, confronting a part of yourself you've long ignored, or taking a risk in your career or personal life. Every small choice to step outside your comfort zone is a victory. And with each small victory, you chip away at the fortress of fear that holds you back. You see, this is where Nietzsche's concept of the will to power comes into play. It's not about domination or control over others. It's about the power to shape your own destiny, to assert your own existence in a world that constantly tries to define you. It's the ability to take control of your life, no matter how chaotic or unpredictable, and find meaning in that very chaos. It's the courage to stand up to life and say, "I am here, I am present. I will not shrink away from what lies ahead." But this is where most people falter. Most people live their lives seeking comfort, stability, and safety because they're afraid that if they step outside of these boundaries, they'll lose control, they'll feel helpless, vulnerable, exposed. But here's the paradox. It's only when you step into the unknown that you truly find control. It's only when you let go of the illusion of control that you open yourself up to a life of authenticity and freedom. Take, for instance, those who have reached the highest levels of success or personal fulfillment. They didn't do so by playing it safe. They did so by embracing the chaos, by learning to dance with the uncertainty that everyone else fears. They understood that growth and transformation can only happen when we stop running from what scares us and start running toward it. Nietzsche said, "He who has a why to live can bear almost anyhow." In other words, the deeper your purpose, the stronger your will to embrace the chaos, the more resilient you become in the face of hardship. It's the same in your own life. The reason you feel so empty, so restless, is because you haven't yet found that why, that deep, driving purpose that propels you through the storm. Without it, you are at the mercy of the tides of life, tossed and turned by every external influence, every fleeting desire. But once you find your why, everything changes. Suddenly, the abyss becomes a part of your journey, not something to be feared, but something to be conquered. And with each small act of bravery, with each moment you choose to live fully, you will begin to see the world not as something that happens to you, but as something you are actively shaping. So here's the ultimate test for you. Do you have the courage to discover your why? Do you have the strength to embrace the chaos of life and face your fears head-on, not as obstacles, but as opportunities for growth? Can you live with the knowledge that life will never be completely certain, but that it is precisely in the uncertainty that your truest self can emerge? The road to becoming who you are is not easy. It's not linear. There will be moments of doubt, of failure, and of overwhelming fear. But these moments are not signs that you've gone down the wrong path. They are signs that you are on the right one, because it's only when we step outside of what is comfortable, outside of what is predictable, that we come face to face with the rawness of existence. And it's in that rawness that we find the deepest truths about who we are and who we can become. Nietzsche said that we must embrace the abyss, not as something to be feared, but as something to be loved, because it is in the abyss that we discover our true strength, our true purpose. It is only by confronting the dark, the difficult, the unknown, that we can truly awaken to the power of our own existence. So, what will it be? Will you continue to live a life of quiet despair, of avoidance and self-deception? Or will you choose to step into the unknown, to embrace the uncertainty, to confront your fears, and live a life that is fully yours? The choice, as always, is in your hands. Now, as you stand at this crossroads, you might begin to feel a sense of overwhelm. The abyss, though a metaphor for the unknown, still feels as vast and imposing as the real thing. You might wonder, how do I even begin this journey? How do I break free from the tight grip of fear and step into a life that, in its purest form, is entirely mine? Let me tell you something important. There is no perfect moment. There is no moment when the fear will magically dissipate, when the path ahead will suddenly be clear. If you wait for that moment, you will wait forever. The only certainty in life is that there will always be another obstacle, another reason to hesitate. The key to breaking free is not waiting for the fear to go away, but learning to act despite it. This, Nietzsche said, is the essence of becoming who you are. It's about acting, not in spite of your fear, but with your fear. Fear is not the enemy. It's a messenger, a signpost, pointing you toward the things that matter most. The deeper the fear, the greater the opportunity for transformation. When you feel the rush of anxiety or the tightening in your chest, don't retreat. Don't try to suppress it. Instead, use it as fuel. Use it as the signal that you're about to push the boundaries of your existence, that you're about to step into a space where real change can occur. But here's the most powerful thing about this journey. The more you face your fears, the more you embrace the discomfort, the more you will realize something profound. You are more powerful than you ever imagined. This isn't a matter of mental strength or intellectual prowess. It's about realizing that deep within you is a wellspring of resilience, a capacity for courage that you've never allowed yourself to fully tap into. The more you step into the unknown, the more you'll see that the world doesn't collapse when you confront it. In fact, it often opens up in ways you couldn't have predicted. People you never expected will come into your life. Opportunities will arise that seem impossible. And most importantly, you will see yourself in a completely new light. The more you embody this will to power, as Nietzsche called it, the more you'll start to realize that life isn't something that happens to you, it's something you actively create. Your choices, your actions, your willingness to face the abyss will shape your destiny. The world will not define you. You define the world. And this brings us to an essential truth. The discomfort, the fear, the doubt, it is all part of the process. Every great transformation, whether in the world or in the individual, has come from a place of intense struggle. If you're not struggling, you're not growing. If you're not feeling the tension between who you are and who you can become, then you're simply coasting. You're living a life of unconsciousness, of half-lived days. But the true essence of life is not in the peaceful, the easy, or the comfortable. It's in the chaotic, the challenging, the unknown. This is the domain where greatness resides. Look around you. The most influential figures in history, the ones who truly shaped the world, were not the ones who played it safe. They were the ones who looked at the abyss and chose to step into it, not knowing what awaited them, but confident in the fact that they would find themselves in the process. Think of Nietzsche himself, writing from the depths of his own despair and isolation, daring to question the very fabric of society. Think of those who fought for justice, who created works of art that shook the world, who took risks and faced down fear every single day. These are the people who, in embracing the abyss, changed the world forever. So when you feel the fear, whether it's the fear of failure, the fear of rejection, or the fear of facing your own limitations, remember this: it is only by embracing that fear, by walking through it, that you will ever truly experience the freedom and power you seek. You are not bound by the world's expectations. You are not defined by your past mistakes, your perceived weaknesses, or the fears that try to control you. You are, in the deepest sense, free to create your life, free to challenge the status quo, free to embrace the unknown, and, in doing so, become exactly who you are meant to be. But it all starts with a single step. The moment you decide that you no longer want to be a passive observer in your own life, the moment you choose to confront your fears instead of running from them, the moment you accept that life is not a straight line, it is a series of leaps into the unknown. Now, ask yourself, what will you do with this moment? Will you continue to avoid the abyss, or will you embrace it and let it guide you toward the life you were always meant to live? The abyss is waiting. It's your turn to step into it.